What is up, beautiful people of the internet? I go by the name of Wesley, and today we're reacting to TierZoo's, who I absolutely adore. We've done a bunch of reactions in the past, and if you want to see more reactions, subscribe down below. So, today, guys, we are doing the bear tier list. I'm intrigued. I feel like there is less variety in the bear tier list than there are in some of the other tier lists we've done, so I'm really curious how TierZoo's is going to suss this out and figure out like where bear goes where. It's also incredibly possible that I am just very undereducated when it comes to the bear familia. That being said, let's jump into it, and you know I cued it so you get the satisfying TierZoo noises, so let's go. I hit it. Bears are so goofy and scary all at the same time. Like, look at that boy. But he'll kill you.
Question.
Whoa.
What kind of bear is best?
Every so often, the metagame of Outside breaks into the mainstream for a bit. Famous examples include the Choose 2 puzzle, or the horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses meme. But perhaps the most famous example is the simple question posed by Jim Halpert in Season 3, Episode 21 of The Office, where he asks what kind of bear is best. But before we answer that, let's take a step back and hear how Dwight responds.
Is this TierZoo's origin story? This is like TierZoo was watching when they were 8 years old, and they were like, which bear is best, Jim? Which bear is best? And then start specking it out. And then the channel was born, and they get millions of views.
There are basically two schools of thought.
He doesn't get to finish his sentence before he gets cut off, but he's right. There are two schools of thought.
Really?
Those being the generalist approach and the specialist approach.
Oh, pandas?
So which school of thought is better when trying to optimize a bear build?
F tier.
I think the best way to answer that is to outline each approach's most relevant members and rank each of them on a tier list. So without further ado,
is this his first tier list?
Perhaps one of the most famous examples of a specialist bear is the panda.
Oh no.
I don't think many players would dispute that pandas are easily one of the worst builds in the current meta. What they will dispute is why. A lot of players think that pandas are garbage because they have an extremely low respawn rate. But pandas actually give birth just as often as other bears.
Oh really?
Yes, it's rare, but that hasn't stopped the higher tier bears. What's really holding these bears back is their absolute dependence on bamboo. Of all the specialized bears, pandas are by far the most over-specialized.
That's so interesting.
The combination of stats and abilities they've got have made it so even if they decided to stop being strict herbivores and pursue a more generalist approach, they can't really do it without a massive respec. They've got the bite force comparable to lions and tigers, but with mobility and stealth as low as theirs, there's no way they'd ever be able to make use of it against another player.
I feel like their disposition, they're just kind of like nice. You know what I mean? They just, every video of a panda I've ever seen interacting with anybody, they just seem sweet, which is just the awful disposition if you're going to try to hunt things.
Pandas use most of their evolution points on their special ability, Pseudo Thumb, a bony-like appendage that allows them to better hold on to bamboo.
That is
The rest
weird.
of their evolution points, I assume, were spent on their ridiculous palette swap. This is the only bear I could even consider being below average. We have to jump all the way up to C tier before we get to the next lowest bear. Next on the tier list, we have the sloth bear and the sun bear.
Sun bear?
These bears use another specialist type build, this time focusing on insects. Now, sloth bears and sun bears are miles ahead of the panda in viability.
Sun bear, I always think sounds like a legendary creature in Pokemon. Like, oh crap, you know, we beat the Elite Four, now it's time to capture the sun bear.
Insects, especially beehives, are a great source of XP, assuming you can tank the damage from the stings. Not only that, but unlike bamboo, insects are pretty much everywhere. So habitat loss due to a human builder player doesn't pose as big a problem to them as it does for pandas. What keeps them down is that although they're great at tearing into well-fortified ant and bee bases, they're actually not very good at defending themselves. They have losing matchups against every other key player in their region, including pythons, leopards, dholes, and tigers. And for that, I have to place them in C tier. The
PvP trash.
Specialist type bear on our list is the polar bear.
They just want to gather. They just want to chill. They just want to like eat insects. They're not trying to get into PvP. They're just trying to enjoy the environment and roleplay. And tiger players come along and they're just like, no, PvP or die, competitive play, only thing that matters. PvE,
is one of the
trash.
Land predators in the entire game.
Polar bears are
Despite their
scary.
ridiculously high power stat, they have pretty bad matchups against the other popular Arctic classes.
Really?
I've actually done an entire video on the Arctic meta, which
we
you
need
can
to watch
here.
that.
But the long and short of it is that their immense strength doesn't really come in handy that much, since their best strategy to score limbs on seals is to catch them off guard when they come up to recharge their stamina gauge. They don't have the mobility to chase seals down in the water, nor do they have the strength to defeat walruses
Bears
on
are
land.
so scary.
So in my opinion, there's far too much luck
They
involved
can't
in the
beat
core of
walruses?
gameplay to rate them any higher than B tier. So that's all of the specialist bears. Now
Oh,
we're
they're
on to
so
the
scary.
generalist bears. Generalist builds, if done right, will pretty much always outclass their specialized counterparts, since they're much more prepared to cope with the rapid shifts of the meta. Like, for example, if human players need materials to build their forts, or if the ice starts to melt. In addition, these next builds differ from the others because they've got the bear's signature move, Hibernate. Hibernation is key to the success of the bear players, because it allows them to completely skip the time of year that they're least suited to. Now, this does incur some difficulty on the player, since if they fail to collect enough
What's it called in anime? Like a time skip? The bears just do a time skip every year.
loot to get them through the winter, hibernation will actually drain their HP and possibly even lead to a game over. But if the bear's abilities are used correctly, this shouldn't be too big an issue. The first of the generalist bears on our list is the brown bear. Brown bears have one of the highest power stats in the game, with
Over
their
black
sheer
bears?
force being outclassed only by bull, cattle, and elephant builds. They've also got fairly
Home
high
run
mobility,
bat.
although it can't quite match that of the wolves or elk that they share a server with. But both of these stats are put to good use because of the animal's high intelligence, one of the highest among solitary builds. This lets bears use their strength to successfully raid the treasure chests that human settlements control. Now, unlike its more
Treasure
specialized
chest.
counterpart,
Treasure chest. I guess one man trashes another bear's treasure, but treasure chest is a stretch there, brother.
it doesn't have the same venom resistances that would allow the
Oh.
sun bear and sloth bear to easily take out you social
I just
insect
love
players.
watching bears
So it's
move.
certainly not invincible by any
Just like,
stretch.
I'm a
But
bear!
it can make up for these inconsistencies by doing what it does best: griefing salmon mains.
Ooh.
The salmon questline's final objective is to return to their spawn point, and unfortunately this exploit is pretty common knowledge among the bear subreddits and whatnot. Brown bears have almost as good a matchup against fish as ospreys do. It's really unfair, honestly. There are a few varieties of brown bear, of which the grizzly is actually the weakest, sitting at
Really?
the high end of A tier. The strongest variety of brown bear, the Kodiak bear, can just barely sneak its way into S tier,
Kodiak's
along with
scary.
the last bear on our list, the black bear.
What?
Black bears are
Black
true
bear?
champions of adaptability.
Everyone makes fun of black bears. Everyone's always like, oh yeah, who cares? It's the black bear. It's gonna run away. They're just gonna be scared. I hope it's not a grizzly or a Kodiak. Really? Really?
The Anthropocene patch dropped, every other North American bear actually quit the server, including one of the Ice Age meta's top tiers, the cave bear. Cave bears
Oh,
and
cave
the
bear's
Florida
scary.
spectacled bear were both specialists that were unable to adapt to the new meta, but the black bear player base has flourished. This is thanks to having slightly scaled back versions of all the brown bear's abilities, plus extremely high arboreal
Whoa.
mobility. This allows them to get access to valuable
That
loot
is
sources
running up
such
that.
as tree
That is
nuts,
crazy.
beehives, and birds' nests. So yeah, Jim is kinda right when he says the classic line,
False. Black bear.
skills are essential for any effective character, but instead of spending millions of years saving up the evolution points necessary to get them, you can unlock skills right now by using Skillshare.
Oh, I was just like, what did the black bear do? What did the black bear do instead? That's really cool. I would never have expected the black bear to rank so high, guys. Never in a million years did I think black bear was going to be our S tier bear, like our seminal best bear. I thought grizzly was a shoo-in for S. That makes sense though, I guess. If it's just the most adaptable, it's the most survivable. I have to say, there's different. It seems like different tier lists are done on different categories, which makes sense because there's different goals that different animals are trying to achieve. But sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, the black bear is the most survivable, but its PvP matchups are pretty bad too, aren't they? Maybe I'm just wrong, but like, isn't the downside to the black bear that it can't win PvP against like a grizzly or a Kodiak? Can it even win against like a cougar? I don't know. That's kind of what wouldn't that be its downside of being the generalist and being smaller and lower stats and everything? That being said, guys, please let me know what you think and comment down below what other TierZoo videos you want to see us react to. I'm having a blast doing them, and if you haven't yet, subscribe down below for more reactions. Anyways, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I'm Wesley, and I'm